Any public comments? No public comments? Randy?
The only thing we did this month is we added a 2015 Peterbilt for the actual levy. The only thing.
I talked to them yesterday. First, I originally spoke with the Judy Nelson, who, when I explained the timing of us making a decision, et cetera, and that she was kind of a little late, she still wanted to come and introduce me. Then I spoke with Bill Nova yesterday, who was the gentleman who was going to be driving down from Naperville, and explained the timing to him as well. And he said, I said, really, unless you have numbers to present tomorrow, we're going to be making a decision tomorrow. And so he said, no, it probably isn't worth his time, but he'll put it on his calendar for next year. They definitely like to work with us, et cetera, but the timing just didn't seem to be, for them to drive down to say, introduce themselves didn't seem like right. So no, he's not here. But they are interested in meeting with the board at some point, but I told him he should put it on his calendar for next spring.
And we don't 6 months before next meeting.
Right.
It's late before.
Right.
Fiscal year 16 group insurance decision and motion.
Okay, so that is the key thing for today. I've got, again, we've got two different brokers that we're working with. The IBC has come back. Again, their proposal, they didn't give us any firm numbers on on premium rates, but they can't really do that without being the broker. They had asked after the last meeting for me to write an email and release our rates to them. I spoke with a couple of the board members who thought that probably wasn't the right thing to do. So we didn't do that for them. They did come back, and there's a couple things they did do. Now, their original proposal last month, while they couldn't give us premium rates, they feel confident that they can negotiate a lower premium rate for us. But they did come back. Last month they had quoted on page 9 at the very bottom under consulting fee. They had presented a flat rate of $8,000 annual consulting fee. They came back this time and they said flat $7,200, reduced it to a flat $7,200. Now, they also believe they can do something about our premium rates. I don't know if they can or not. The other thing that's a little different than Homestar, our current broker, is on the top of page 8. If you look at the section called long range planning, there they commit to a long-term plan on transitioning benefits, and once a year devoting a meeting to long-range benefits planning, so set milestones at in year 3, 5, and 10 years, and develop strategies, which is not something we do have now. The other things they commit to, things like wellness plans. We don't have anything in terms of wellness right now, but I have to tell you that I've read some articles in some HR magazines within the last couple months that have really kind of said the actual rate decreases due to wellness plans is now maybe not so much there. You know, for years and years, the insurance industry has really sold wellness plans by saying it will reduce your premium rate. Really doesn't seem to be the case, at least not in the last several articles I've read over the last couple months. So, not sure, we don't have a wellness plan at all. Once in a while, I'll get something, if I get something from Susie, I got something this spring, I think, on what they would pay if people were in a health club. That came up during a conversation I was having with her. She sent a flyer, and we distributed it. Things like that. But really, no defined plan is in place. On page 7, you see they commit to timing of what they would actually do, which has been our issue with, or was our issue with CIBC in the past, where we weren't able to get renewal rates timely.
I guess I have no issue with CIBC, if they could never do it, you guys come in and they want it done.
Right, right.
And boy, that is so important in our budget.
Right, very helpful. I do have renewal quotes from Homestar. So that's CIBC and my conversations with them over the last month or so. Does everyone have one? Okay. So there were 3 things I talked to Homestar about. The original, and the first page is just a summary of all 3. The first one was a 3% increase. That was the initial quote back from Health Alliance a month ago, was a 3% increase. And you can see those rates there. I laid out monthly premium in total. This is just for the employees, not retirees in total, but because retirees reimburse 100% of the premium cost, so I just excluded them. But for employees, the monthly cost would be $50,561. That's the total premium annually, just over $600,000, $606,000. The commission is built into that. The commission would be the portion that goes to Homestar, somewhere embedded in those rates. The HRA cost, I'm estimating at about $120,000. That's where we're seeing a big uptick in the cost of those HRA. The HRA pays, the county pays 100% of that, and it's all the cost between the $1,000 deductible that the employees see and the $7,500 deductible, that's the premium. Our policy is written with a $7,500 deductible.
With the county covers.
And the county covers 100% of those costs in between. So I added that estimated cost. That's really, since I started, the year I started, I think we paid at just under $80,000. And this year we're pacing at $120,000. That's how much that portion is happening. And I think it logically, as healthcare costs increase, you're seeing employees who maybe never hit that $1,000, just who are pretty healthy people and doing routine checkups, etc., never hit those, and then one thing happens or whatever, or just routine, they hit that a lot quicker, and we're seeing it both in the number of employees that hit it. I'm surprised. That seems to be increasing. I get a report every month of who's at where, and then the number that really hit that 7,500. So it's increasing a lot. So then less the amount that the employees pay, and then that would be the estimated total annual cost, doing nothing, just a renewal, flat renewal, for the county's portion would be $512,000 for the year estimated. Remember, this is funded by the general fund. So when we talk about our budget issues, this is the single largest item in the general fund. Single item. I think for 15, it was 400 was the amount of the transfer. We can see that in Department 615, General Fund 110. Department 615, and there's a line in there called Transfer to Group Insurance Fund. Yeah, 400,100. 400,000. Well, I haven't got that far in figuring it out. It actually works out because there are some reimbursements, etc. So from other places, from 911, from the health department, etc. But my estimate originally in doing the budget was $425,000 that we end up having to transfer to the group fund. Now sometimes based on this HRA trend, last year based on the HRA trend, I had to transfer another, I think at the year end we transferred $50,000 to help cover the shortfall. So it's not a guarantee, but the budget, that's kind of where we ended up. So then the middle column, excluding the commission, that was Homestar's proposal last month. They took out the embedded commission. And it's interesting, both CIBC and Homestar came in with that same thing, and I said nothing to either one of them about doing that. So that must be kind of a thing they're doing, that they're finding that it's a way to make them more competitive. What she had said was they would charge us an hourly rate, and they estimated it based on the number of hours they spend on our account to be around $7,200, but the proposal they made said it's not to exceed $20,000 in a year. So there is some risk in that. That's the risk in the Homestar proposal. The Homestar proposal is per month. We expect it to be about $7,200. That's what your historic rate is, but we have a not to exceed $20,000. CIBC is saying, we'll get your rates with Health Alliance, but we have a flat $7,200 for the year. There's no risk. For these estimates, I just put in $7,200. Okay? So what you see there are the premium rates. So what happens is the premium rates that the employees see, because now we're on a percentage basis, so it's 25% of the premium rate. The premium rate stays the same as it is this year. So it's that 3% goes out for the increase, out for commissions out, but the rate increase is built in there. Does that make sense? So you can see that the total premium per month ends up at about $49,087 based on who's enrolled in what this current fiscal year. And I have to say that with the change in our employee share going from $1,100 a month for non-union and possibly AFSCME to about $600 or $650, I've had several people already ask me about when can they add their family. So I think we'll see more employees choosing either a +1 or a family coverage, that it becomes more viable for them. But so those are the amounts in there, $49,000 a month, so pretty comparable. The annual premium comes up to $589, but we add in the commission. So the commission is not built into the portion that the employees are helping reimburse. That's going to be 100% borne by the county. I put in $7,200, that's the estimate, $120 for the HRA. The employee share of the reimbursement is a little bit less, $208,000. So you come up with a annual cost of $508,000. So look at the difference. The actual end-up cost between having the commission built in and having it not, the original estimate was $512,000, and by taking out that commission, it's $508,000 because you're not getting any reimbursement from the employees on it. So it's really saves about $4,000. Then I asked, because of the increasing amounts of the HRA, I asked Susie to go back to Health Alliance and tell us what the premium rates would be if we did not have the HRA. So in other words, if we had a policy that actually had a $500 deductible for FOP and a $1,000 deductible for everybody else, is it still a cost benefit to the county to have the HRA? And you can see those costs, quite dramatic. So the employee, like single coverage, goes from $429 to $647 a month. Family coverage, well, plus one, plus spouse goes from $832 a month to $1,263 a month. Family coverage from $1,354 to $2,062 a month. Then, so your monthly premium is $75,300 compared to around $25,000 or $50,000 a month. So about $25,000 a month in extra premium rate. The annual premium is $903,000. Again, you have the commission of $7,200, but you take out the HRA line for $1,200 or for $120,000. That's where you see the difference. And then the employee share, $319,000 because it's based on the premium. The difference is total county cost, $591,000. So still a cost benefit by having the HRA. But I think as we see this move closer, it's something we want to be aware of.
Reevaluate very closely.
Right.
6 months really.
The benefit of whether or not, right, that, or should we do something different as we look at plan design. Now, and I put behind it so you all can see, these are the actual sheets received, so you can verify the amounts that they quoted. I put that all for you, you can go through that paperwork. But from my perspective, like having to come back, that is the one thing with Homestar. I had to go back and ask twice to see these other rates at comparison. There wasn't that difference in kind of consulting. It is what it is.
Is that just the nature of the beast when they got you?
I don't know.
The CIBC would never give us a forecast.
Right.
That was going to come
And
later.
maybe that's it. Maybe that's it, that people get, that brokers get complacent. I'm not sure. But I guess from my perspective, this was a lot of work and a lot of pushing on my part and a lot of analysis that for a commission I would think, you know, if you want to keep my business, you would do that for it. But what it does lay out is, it really seems like the HRA is still the way to go.
Well, I'm surprised that does you know that the other ones had a flat rate on the 7,200?
I did not tell anyone anything about what the other person did, no.
That's probably up a bit, right? But I think I have to go through it. Hey, money's tight, dude.
I didn't feel comfortable talking to either one of them about what the other person quoted. So you have two decisions. One is the plan. What plan do you choose? And two, what do we do about the brokers? I think you're right. I've always had, and we've always had very good relationship with Homestar. If there is an issue, watching the commission and we're going to be billed quarterly for the commission by the hours. It would mean monitoring that and making sure that we're staying on track with the 7,200. If it gets to be a problem,
Better call somebody.
right, exactly. That's exactly right. I think, Amanda, you found Homestar to be good to work with. I have found them to be very good to work with, responsive when there's a concern or an error or whatever, always fixing it, really timely.
Well, it's easy to promise you something when you don't have a business.
Right,
That's the other thing.
right. And there is a risk. I mean, we were with CIBC for several years, and frankly, it was really challenging.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, I would think we should do a homestead report. And then we need to look at finding an item that would try excluding the commission, even though it is a positive benefit to the employees that way.
Right, right.
That
Right.
way.
With no, and actually lessens the cost, hopefully, to the county.
And we'll take a roll of the dice on it.
Right.
Count.
Well, we have to manage it. It's like everything has to manage it. Yes, we have to commit to Health Alliance no later than August 15th to hold these rates.
Is that for 1 year?
Yes. It starts December 1st of 2015 through November 30th of 2016.
I think Mr. Gould.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to go with the homestead health alliance program.
It's hard.
Excluding the commission, and it'll be positive to the employees, and we'll roll the dice on the side.
It's important to realize that we have really good working relationships. And it's hard to cut somebody that's really tried to work with you. If we get the other side, they didn't try that hard. When we cut them.
It needs to be really bad.
Any other discussion, guys?
Schmidt?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Carl? Raymond?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Yes. Okay. All right, we're up to fiscal year 16 budget.
The budget.
You want to do that now?
She actually, this was approved by her board, right, Nina? This was the budget approved by your board?
Yes, correct.
And did you bring copies?
I did, and I don't know if you found which
I
one.
made copies.
Okay, so I won't take mine then,
Okay.
whichever works for
Just
you.
whichever ones you, it's exactly what you sent me in that.
Yeah, that's what I got too, so
Okay.
I haven't changed anything. And you did both of them, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't so.
Is everybody? Yes. Joint dispatch and then 911 on page 2.
I'll start with the joint dispatch. Is your first one, is that correct? You do
Yes.
one, Anita?
Yes. I didn't have one, I'm sorry. I gave,
Everybody got one?
No, I'm good, I got one now. I mean,
I
I
got it.
sorted them in.
Okay.
Good job.
Got it?
No, we need one.
I got a copy.
I got one because she gave me.
Yeah, I got a copy of both. Oh.
All right, we'll start with the joint dispatch one. The revenues are set by the 2-year contract that we have. So the only changes that you will see in them is under volunteer ambulance. We did lose an ambulance service. It actually happened, I think, 2 years ago now. So that amount dropped to $4,500 because they paid $900. And then we also lost a police department about 2 years ago. It was Chavant. And so that one dropped by $1,800. I think that was 2, wasn't it? Yeah. So those two amounts are the only decreases that we have as far as revenue. And it's simply because of the city wrong. The other one was stuff on ambulance service. Telecommunicator salaries, I'm rounding that right now because they're still in union negotiations. We don't know what's going to happen, and Anita and I talked about this. So that's the dollar amount I put in there. Workman's comp is amount set by, Anita gave me that total amount. Group insurance, we have 9 employees, But one of our employees, Dad, able to pay for his health insurance until he turns 26, which isn't until year after next. So we only pay for 8 health insurance. So that's on there. The liability insurance did go down. When we joined EPSC and joint dispatch together, we were able to get a better rate. So in turn, you will see from last year, it does show a $594 increase projected for, I should say, this year. That was simply because of the turnover change that we did. We had to pay for an extra month in November because our policy ended at the beginning of November, so we had to pay for an extra month. So that $594 is in there, but the true amount that we paid was $6,207.40. So that's their office expense at $2,000, training at $2,000. Our dispatchers do need E&T training. They're mandated by state to have 12 hours of continuing education, and then other things that we obviously do. Uniform allowance, that's something that the Joint Dispatch Board 2 years ago dropped as a budget decrease, I guess is the way to put it, savings. Legal fees we no longer do. Retirement fund, you'll see that that amount is lower, but Anita and I talked about that yesterday. It's a matter of the quarterly, payments that we make wasn't due yet when this was
Yeah,
today.
the forecast is low, but that's just a timing issue with getting the journal entries done. so.
And I think the group insurance is the same way.
Yep,
So anything that we pay back to the county is that way. And then unemployment is the same way. And then the miscellaneous, I think that's what I need. I'm not sure where that comes from.
yeah, when it doesn't go somewhere else. And then I put it in the correct place.
Okay. So as Rod set this up 2 years ago, he set it up, the 911 could no longer pay, that we were taking from our fund balance that we previously had the year before. So that's why it's down to the $65,000 is taken from our reserve left from prior years. Does that sound correct?
Right, going into this year, you had, I don't remember the number off the top, it was like 130,
100, yeah, close to 140.
real close to 140. I think it was 136 or 139. And so the theory was that they would deplete half their reserves in FY15 and half in FY16. And then for FY16, then moving forward, we're going to have to look at the rate. That was to keep the county and Waseca at $163,000 for our transfer amount. And last year, it was, in previous years, $131,666. This year, it's $163,000 for both Waseca and the county. It'll be that for next year, and then we're going to have to do something.
Right, exactly. This will be the last budget that is going to be set this way.
Right,
Something is either going to change one way or not.
Right.
Whatever that ends up being.
right, right.
So this is the last easy budget. Any questions about the joint dispatch budget? Okay, we'll go on to 911. The fund and reimbursement that you see at the very top, that $10,000, Derek reimburses us for part of Sandy's salary. Sandy works over at the sheriff's office 12 hours a week, and then the rest she works for us. So that's the $10,000 that Derek gives back to us. I'm going to call that an immediate.
Right. Usually what happens is the reimbursement occurs in the same fiscal year, okay? So then it can reduce salary expense because it's reimbursement of an expense within the same accounting period. What happened last year is the check actually got cut in December and deposited in December, which means it couldn't go against Sandy's salary. So if you look at 2014 actual, you'll see her actual salary at the $44,000. It doesn't reflect the $10,000 because the $10,000 is up on top. It came in fiscal 15. We don't want that to happen this year, and I said, Derek, we'll have to make sure that check is cut. We'll coordinate it in November to make sure the check is deposited in November and actually can be used can be booked against her salary line.
Does that mean you'll have two
Yes.
2,000 this year?
Right.
So it's skewed it long, and one, it'll be short this year.
Even better. The actual revenues, I just cut them, as everybody knows, everybody's dropping landlines, so the revenue is gonna go down. I know I've been talking to everybody and telling them about the new legislation that went through. On the state level, they're telling us not to budget for it. We actually got notice a couple of days ago that says that this is gonna be our last wireless check until the governor starts approving release of that money. So there's a chance, and that's a large amount that we receive on a monthly basis. So there's a chance that our wireless checks, we may not see them until this budget issue is resolved. So this one we get this month is obviously for July, so that's why we're still getting a backlog, I guess. But they gave us notice that more or less we may not be getting our wireless for a while until the budget issue is solved. But, so there could be some backlog on that. But they're also telling us not to plan ahead because nobody truly knows how much money we're gonna get. You know, I know some of the legislators put out things that we were going to get X amount of dollars, and that's not secure yet because everybody can properly turn in their network charges. There's some people that showed no network charges, and we know everybody has network charges because you can't get 911 without them. So there's a lot of figuring that has to be done on the state level in order to figure out truly what the network charges are. The network charges come off the top of all the money that comes into the state, and then it's divided all of us after that. So we truly don't know a dollar amount, so they did not want us to budget because the dollar amount wasn't known. So next year, I talked to Anita where we're putting in probably a wireline, wireless contribution line, and that will be one line that our revenue will come in, and there will only be one line, and this will probably be done with the 2017 budget. But for this year, we're keeping our line items the same, and then Anita said we'll just pick one and plug it into it, and that's where it'll come in from there. So the revenues, it's hard to predict other than staying as is and decreasing a little bit because of drops in landlines received on a daily basis. Any questions on our revenue?
I still got two landlines, and I ain't getting them all.
Good for you.
Excellent.
Tell us one thing that I can guarantee will work in my area.
Yeah, that's one something.
Half the time, my cell phone won't work. If I go outside the front yard and hold a leg up, it might work.
Okay, going on to expenses, department head salary. You see the amount that's in there, we actually increased by $1,200 because, this is complicated, hopefully I can figure it out correctly. The union is probably, hopefully going to be qualified December 1st, we're hoping. And with that, we presently get a half-day, sick day per month. And so Sandy and I will be losing that because we're assuming it's going to be equal to the total, and this is an assumption, the total that the rest of the county is, which is up to 480 hours. We're at 248 hours, 240 hours sick time at this time. So if it does change, which that's a new negotiation, and goes up to 480, we will no longer get the benefit of a half sick day a month if we don't use it.
What you're saying is you would take your, right now they max out at their 30 days?
Yes.
At 30 days. The first payroll of every month, they're at the max. Nida, Sandy, and half of the telecommunicators. Okay, they max out at 30 days. They get paid the day they've run over. So they get another day, a month, so they get paid that out the following month at a half a rate, at half their hourly rate. What NIDA is saying is if the telecommunicators and NIDA and Sandy will follow that, changes in union negotiations to be consistent with the county. Instead of being 30 days, they'll max out at 60 days. So for 2.5 years, they won't be at the maximum. They won't bump up against the maximum number they can have. So they'll be continuing to accrue days instead of being paid out for them every month. So for, does that make sense?
And then we're also upping our health insurance to 85, 70 or 40, whatever it was, which is a $420 extra that won't come out of our paycheck. motion at the last meeting that our board agreed that any changes that the county makes with non-union employees, instead of my board, then I wanted to potentially go back and make motions every time something comes through, we're just going to go along with it. So that way there's not constant, you got to make a motion to do this, it's easier on her, and the whole 9 yards. So we agreed to do that, which we will be paying $420 more for our health insurance. And then it's up more December 1st, I think, correct?
It'll go to 25%. So,
Okay.
so they'll just follow whatever it is for ours. We don't have to wait for the board to do something different.
So that's why it looks like I got a $7.20 increase from 15 to 16, and then Sandy showed,
If the insurance changes.
and Sandy showed $103.
We'll talk about that.
Okay. Okay, workman's comp is a figure Anita gave me. Okay. The group insurance is Sandy by health insurance. Liability insurance, you will see the 8,000 is simply a dollar, it's a format that's in there that makes that happen, but it actually should be the 47,160. Office expense stayed the same at 5,000. Mileage and travel was a little more this year, simply because of my trip to Springfield, working with the legislative committee. So I'm sure that will go back down to the 5,000 this year, hopefully. Rent is one that I did make an error on. I failed to acknowledge that July 31st, our rent was up $10 more. So that should actually be $120 extra to what it is for our rent. Telephone is $64,000. This is another one that could possibly will change. I'm hoping somewhere in January or February. We're kind of dependent on the telcos on that. That's what I talked about just a little while ago, was our network costs. And the network costs in the present legislation that was just passed is supposed to be paid by the state of Illinois through the funds that we send in, and that's about $63,000. So I'm hoping next year we'll turn this in, that line item will be $1,000. So we're hoping to get that dollar amount back, but the date is unknown on when we return that dollar amount. Depreciation, that's an Anita figure in there of that $36,000. Retirement fund again is $12,000 compared to last year. FICA unemployment. Joint dispatch is $0. Maintenance and repairs, we have approximately $50,000 worth of maintenance and repairs that we have referenced to our rental towers, recorder maintenance. We have our CAD maintenance, and I know that's been a discussion that Derek had with you guys when he did his budget proposals as far as needing extra money. If you remember, he talked about EmergenTech and the flag program. At our meeting on Tuesday night, our board decided in an effort to also help out the county that we're going to take that back and start paying for it. Derek was a little bit behind this year, so we picked up that little bit behind for this year, and then we're also going to take on the cost for next year. So our total to EmergenTech is about $30,000 a year to keep that EmergenTech software up and running. So that's a very vital,
I know it's vital, but it's painful.
very vital program. So anyway, we'll be picking up that. So our fear was, if it didn't get paid, that we were going to lose in the long run also, because we're a package deal, and we're a package deal from 1996, and we're going to need the packages. We didn't pay it. So that's what we paid. So we come out about $50,000 extra, and then we added 10 in there for more. Purchase of equipment, we're looking at possibly a new copier. We're looking at a couple of computers we're going to try to get in the rotation of. And we have 20 monitors up there. We have 5 monitors versus the mission. We always have one burning out and that type of stuff. So that's what our purchase of equipment goes for. So it shows us with a plus at the end of $60,365. I'm really hoping that ends up being, next year won't be as much as when we get a full year in, but I think it will be over 100,000. There's nothing dramatically after.
Yeah, because it's nothing getting trade here.
Any questions on our budget or reasoning for figures or anything like that?
It's a lot up in the air with this negotiation.
gone up to about $2,900, so roughly $12,000 a year. I had asked for $15,000 in the expensive office, using 6 of that to make 2 of the quarterly payments, and then I was going to use $6,000 out of the public safety line item to pay the other 2. So the expensive office has always run around $8,000. I asked for $15,000 this year, so I had sent, once I had heard that EPSB had done this, I sent Anita an email saying that that could be reduced at $6,000.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it's all flow.
Yes, I just wanted to
They'll
say-
give us the information before.
Right, right. We met that night, I think. High school Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that night, we met, so.
Anybody else got anything?
Thank you. All right, thank you.
All right. We got some, we got a contract that's going to be voted on tonight and some other stuff, so on the other, budget stuff, let's try to meet at the end of the month. Everybody got a date? Don't work for them? Last week? I can't. That'll be 27. That work for everybody? At what time? 9? Is there anything else scheduled for that day?
Isn't that policy and procedure day Thursday?
Oh, yeah, it is. That's policy and procedure. At 10?
That works.
Well, the time will be that,
It'd be right after TNT. So if it's an hour meeting, it'll be 10.
I'll be able to lay in some of the, all the insurance, fire costs, a better idea of that. And the other things, I know there were some reductions we talked about in IT to my budget, so those in, there's reduction. I think at that time, we talked about transfers from the other funds, so I'll try and have numbers for that at the time, so we'll have a better idea of where we're actually at. All right, department heads. I don't have anything yet.
Eric?
Financially, before you, you will actually see a abnormal claim. I have just under $100, and that claim, you'll see, I talked to Anita about that, under miscellaneous, under my line item budget. What those are, what those receipts are, is when I bought food for volunteers that have been helping throughout the disaster. Now, I did that very sparingly. Most of the time, we got free meals for them, but when I had to, got some volunteers some food. A lot of them worked a lot of hours, they drove far distances. Financially, that's what I have. Other things that FEMA will be in town today, along with IEMA, to do a preliminary damage assessment. That's just the next step in attempting to get financial assistance. No promises made. Lockout crews continuing. A lot of work still to be done.
Snyder? Tom?
Just the July extension bill was still high, but now we're down to, I think, just one juvenile extension. So hopefully, it'll stay that way for August, through the month of August, and we'll then start trending. That's it.
Eric?
Well, I wanted to thank ETSB for picking up the contract cost for the maintenance on the network. Jim's not here, so he would probably say something full judicial. There's still one case pending, but one of the federal lawsuits against me has been dismissed by the federal judge. It was an inmate that was here for quite a while, got sentenced to 8 years in prison, and once he got to prison, he filed a lawsuit against us, well, against me, but the county's insurance and the attorneys that handle that for the county's insurance company did a fabulous job on it. So we got notice on July 13th, I think it was, that the federal judge had dismissed the case against me. So that's good news. Other than that, nothing.
Thank you. Bob?
Just looking forward, Governor Rauner has declared the county, along with multiple other counties, a disaster area. So I'm required to provide Tax 245 damage claim for reassessment as of June 7th. Those will be available in my office. I'm going to decide if I'm going to put, put in the press, put in the paper, have Carl announce on the radio, that kind of thing. But because the whole county is a disaster area, so not like in 08, it was just the city of Waseca and basically river properties up and down there by river to the flood. This is a lot of surface water damage to crops and stuff like that. That's what I'm not sure how to handle. I've got to email into the state to find out how that is. If I'm required to reassess farmland based on June 7th for 100% crop loss, that could be a big number. So just a heads up on that. So I don't know the answer to that yet, but I do have a question in the state to see how that's handled. I know how to handle residential and commercial properties that are damaged. You prorate it based on, the damage amount for the, from June 7th forward. But this crop thing is a total different animal that I've not dealt with yet, and so I'm trying to get some advice and direction from the state on how to handle that. But if we have to reassess on farmland assessment based on total crop loss for the amount of acreage that they prove that they didn't get a crop, then that could be a big number.
Would that affect our property tax?
Yes, big time.
Well, that's great. That's just wonderful.
Well,
I don't know if that, don't panic yet, so you're trying to panic. I'm just giving you a heads up. Because I didn't have to deal with this in 08, farmland side of it. It was just property damage in 08. So we'll hold our breath that it doesn't, because there is thought. I mean, technically, the yield projections, since farmland assessment is based on a 5-year yield rolling, that the lower the yield will be in those going forward, and they won't see any results for 3 or 4 years down the road that the lower, yield.
it don't make sense to me if we're insured.
I mean, I got 80% coverage if I don't get it,
Yeah, and that's why I think the yield of my last scenario will probably be, I'm hoping that's what it is. I think that'll be the answer to the farmers, but I need to get a direct answer because there will be some farmers that want their assessments reduced because they had zero crop. And I have to have a concrete answer for them, so I'm just letting you know. If somebody asks you a question about that, refer them to me, just call me. Because you'll get the question, I'm pretty sure.
I know.
Because I already have got it.
Well, that's bad.
I can't see that the value of the dirt, cash value of the dirt, will change no matter what production is on top of it.
I agree with you, Rob.
Because it's all based off of that.
Like I said,
And since, at this point, even elevation in given areas are not taken into by the Department of Revenue on the assessment process, I don't see how ponds don't play into it all of a sudden.
yeah, because there was no disaster declared last year when we had the hailstorm, but that didn't affect a wide swath of people, and they just, their property, their hail insurance took care of it if they had it. So, this is a different animal, and so I'm not sure what the answer is yet, but I will find out. Deal with the answer when we get it.
Maybe they'll come up with a new type of dirt call. Come up with this formula.
There's just too many other factors involved. that really-
Yes, I agree. There's insurance and there's, preventive planning, there's all kinds of programs that they're protected by if they take advantage of it.
That's it?
Yep.
I'll public health.
Good. We had some good news yesterday. On Tuesday, I had reported to the Health Committee that we were not receiving any state payments from DHS, IDPH, or IDOA, obviously because there was no fund state budget. But I did receive word yesterday that a Cook County judge did rule that federal money, like for the WIC program, for our Department of Aging program, federal monies have to be passed through. So we were sent a notice yesterday that the governor has agreed that the federal pass-through money will be paid out beginning July 15th. So that was good news for us. At least we'll have some income coming in because the state payments, those state grants and contracts are a very large, significant portion of our revenue. So we will be getting at least the federal pass-through.
Is that just WIC?
No, WIC, immunizations, Department of Aging, and then they also federally mandated that any federal funds that go toward Medicaid will be passed through as well. So we were told we can start Medi-billing, so which we already have been doing, and we've been billing anyway, knowing that it was sitting queue. There's a website to go on to that tells exactly where our bills are, whether they've been warrant issued, it tells us exactly what step in the 5-step process where we're at. So those payments, I was told, will begin July 26th. So if that's correct, then we'll have some income coming in, which is really nice. I did report on Tuesday to the Health Committee that we're very fortunate. Iroquois County Public Health Department is in better shape than many of the county health departments across the state. Many of the health departments across the state are reducing to a 4-day work week. Many of them are cutting staff. Eastside, which is a 41,000 residential county, is cut their staff in half and laid them off. Effingham County is making some significant reductions. There are a lot. The state had asked us to do a survey, and they asked us, what cash we had on hand, what our monthly expenditures were, how many weeks reserve we had, et cetera. And we were definitely in the upper 50% of least reserve. So we were very fortunate.
It's amazing. Even countywide, we are not in bad financial shape, but yet I'm panicking.
I know, because, well, and the thing is about that is, this is what I told the Health Committee on Tuesday. Okay, so we're being told not to look for any kind of a state budget until after Labor Day. At least that's what they're telling us on our Friday conference call. So, you know, right now, or as of July 1st, we have anywhere from 14 to 17 weeks reserved. Okay? We do have some fee-for-service money coming in. You know, as we give VFC vaccine, we're still able to collect our administration fees. We have private pay things coming in. You know, our contracts with the school districts, that sort of money is still coming in. That did not include any other income. That was just least reserve. So I reported to the Health Committee that, you know, at the end of August, I will look at where we're at and, if need be, make appropriate decisions on expenditure reductions. You know, restricting travel, restricting overnight stays for training, restricting unnecessary training. You know, all training is necessary, but what can you get by without? You know, what do you not come home with a certificate that you need? You know, so any of those kinds of things we'll start implementing small measures. You know, in September. To you know, and hopefully this thing won't drag out past, you know, months and months, because they're telling us that even once the state budget is signed, it'll be 30 days before the state departments get their money, you know, DHS, IDPH, and then it'll be another 30 days before we can start submitting and receive anything back. So they're telling us, even after the state budget's signed, we're looking at 60 to 90 days before we receive any money. So, I planned for that, and we're making plans for that. But it was good news that at least some of that federal pass-through money will, you know, that state pass-through will receive that in the meantime.
Thank you. Yvonne, you got anything?
Just want to draw your attention to this email we handed out. Talks about, it's from the Department of Revenue, and it talks about the suspension of the salary reimbursements for state attorney, public defender, and supervisor of assessment. You have that there. You want to look at that?
That is in there.
It says they're suspended supervisor of assessment beginning with June 2015 payment, and state attorney and public defender suspended beginning with July 2015.
It's for those three is $14,000 a month, so it's really not huge. Yes.
No, I'm on water. What's up here, you know? Oh, gee. That was a dog, I see that.
No, all the stipends are through.
Got any good news to go with that? Okay, thank you.
Kevin, I do have one more piece of good news I forgot to tell you.
Okay.
The jail inspection happened on the 22nd of July. We were found to have no non-compliances, and there were 7 areas that were shown improvements. The new roof being one, which is complete, by the way. It looks very nice. The generator, the new water lines on the lower cell blocks, the new water line shutoff valves, the new security cameras. So we got a very good report from them. It's 26 pages long, and it's down in the clerk's